Welcome back to the Arise with Anita podcast. On today's episode of the Arise with Anita podcast, I am sitting down with the dynamic Loren Lahav. Loren is pure energy and heart. She's the kind of woman who can walk into a room and instantly light it up. Not with performance, but with presence. She has spent more than 30 years immersed in the world of personal development, spoken alongside some of the greats, especially Tony Robbins, and some of the biggest names in the industry, and while dedicating her life to helping thousands of women rise into their worth, their truth, and their authentic voice. She's a dynamic, soulful, and committed to helping women reclaim their voice and live fully. Loren is a coach, a mentor, an author, a mother, and a philanthropist. But more than that, she is also, what makes her stand out is how she embodies what she teaches. She reminds us women that every day that they don't have to settle, that they can own their brilliance and live their badass and beautiful lives the way they're meant to. This isn't just a conversation about success or resumes or stages. It's about freedom, authenticity, and the courage to rise fully as you yourself. I'm honored to welcome Loren Lahav to my podcast.
Could I keep that one? That's pretty cool. That's a nice little intro, huh? Thank you. That's so beautiful. I'm honored.
I'm just telling you about you.
Oh, you're very sweet. Well, I really respect you. You're an amazing woman. I love watching you and your mama together. It makes me so happy to think about me and my daughter as she steps into the world as an adult. So you've inspired me very much.
Thank you. Honestly, you have a kick-ass daughter, let me just say. She's incredible for her age.
Yeah, she's pretty amazing, huh? Yeah, she just moved cross country, took me into her apartment, and I'm like, what is on your wall? And she's really into, I don't know if you know this or not, but she is taxidermy.
Oh.
And it might sound, at first I was like, okay, what is up with my daughter? And then last year when it was her senior year, and it was the first day of school, and she goes, hey, Mom, I started working on my senior essay. And we had just lost a dear friend of ours, and she read me this beautiful, her college kind of essay. Yeah. And it was all about the circle of life. And for her, so many times old photos end up in boxes and things are just kind of dismissed. And for her, she likes to give life to things that maybe sometimes people dismiss. So I just, I was like, I didn't freak out when I saw the taxidermy. I was like, she's just giving life, to this beautiful thing that maybe, this beautiful animal, and just honoring that. So thank you for honoring her.
I mean, she's, like I said, incredible. I was honestly blown away the amount of times I've seen her. And every single time I talk to her, I'm like, you are far too smart for your age.
Yeah, she's really smart. She's good heart, just like you. That's why you like her. She's a lot like you.
Thank you. So before we dive in, I always like to start off with what's bringing you joy in this current season.
Well, joy, wow, this is a very interesting season, I have to say. That's a great question. Because it's the first time in 30 years I haven't had a kid at home. My eldest is 20, he's going to be 30 next year. Another one of my son, Quinn, he's 25, and then Asher just left, so I'm a first-time empty nester. And I'm actually having to rediscover some things that give me joy. I talk about that there's discovering who you are, and then there's staying true to who you are, and then there's a rediscovery stage. And I'm really going through it. So what gives me joy is getting together with great women like you, my kids, obviously, my husband, my dogs, as you know, and just doing the work that I do, seeing people step into their greatness. It's not all about me. For me, the mastermind, I guess you just had Juliana on, you can have Veronica on, and so I love being the wind underneath everybody's wings, I would say. And it was funny because last week I did an event, and I had to take some things and put them in the dumpster, the storage unit. And as I'm at the storage unit, I'm like, oh my God, what is going on there? And I noticed that somebody had dumped thousands of these beautiful metal butterflies.
Oh, wow.
And I started going dumpster diving in my white suit. So then I go back. Chelsea was staying at my house, and I go, come on, Chelsea, I need you to get dressed because I need to go dumpster diving again and get some more of these butterflies because there's more. So we go back, and there's a big sign that says no dumpster diving. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm probably on camera. This is crazy. What's happening? And so then I call the storage unit. I go, look, I feel really bad. I went dumpster diving, but there were these beautiful butterflies, and I had to rescue them. And the lady's like, you can come back and go dumpster diving. Well, I went back and got even more of them. And when you're asking what gives me joy right now, that day I really went around town giving people butterflies. And it filled my heart so much. I was realizing what makes me so joyful in my life is just putting a smile on people's face. So, and your butterfly, I brought the wrong card, but I've got your butterfly for you, just so you know.
Aw, thank you. So what do butterflies symbolize for you?
Well, I just got back from celebrating my 59th and 3/4 birthday with my Dirty Dozen. I brought my college, we went to Dollywood. As you know, I really respect Dolly Parton a lot. I'm from the same, I grew up about an hour and a half from Pigeon Forge, where she has Dollywood. So I decided to take my Dirty Dozen, and that was some girls from college, and in my 20s and my 30s, my 40s and my 50s. So there were 13 of us, so a baker's dozen. And I love her whole thing is about butterflies. So it was crazy that I found these butterflies. And there's a quote that she says, it says, put wings on your dreams. And it's butterflies everywhere. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. This is divine. This is divinely set up for those butterflies to show up. And that's really what they represent to me, is just that opportunity to fly. And I think so many of us, we stay in that comfort zone so often, instead of just saying, I'm going to take that step. I'm going to say yes, and then I'll figure it out.
I'm laughing only because that makes me think of kind of what happened to me since we last really connected, which was I had been in this whole corporate world, and I was like, okay, I'm going to make this coaching thing a thing, and then I'm going to step out. And came April, I end up getting laid off out of the blue. And I was just like, I cannot believe, what? And I had people from the management company prior to that going, how on earth of all the people did they lay you off? It doesn't make sense. And I go, I don't know. And so there was this kind of crook in the opening of either you go back to the corporate world or you make it happen now.
Yeah.
Now or never. So it was kind of this divine timing. And then I look over at Mom, and she's just like, I'm going to a real estate seminar this weekend. Want to come? And the rest is history. I have not gone back since. And it's been the scariest, but also the funnest journey of my life.
Yeah, and I think you figure it out. I think that so many times that you need those opportunities. It's the growth happens during those times, those tough times. But I think, I was very comfortable, as you know, we know because of Tony Robbins, I think, originally. And I created the volunteer crew program for him. And then one time, and I'd done it for so long, and I loved it. And I remember once everybody thought that I just wasn't going to give it up. And I think Tony even said to me, Loren, you need to, when are you going to give up being the crew? I go, when I find somebody as passionate about it as I am. And then this opportunity came along. I had to go to San Diego for a meeting. And there was a new girl that was working the production, and they were making some changes of how they were going to do the crew program. And I looked at her, and I go, I think I'm done. She goes, no, we still want you to do what you're going to do. And I go, I hear you. I go, but I think I'm done. And afterwards, I called my husband, and he goes, so how was your meeting? I go, I think I stopped doing the crew. And he goes, what do you mean you stopped doing it? He goes, how do you feel? I go, I feel really good. I feel I don't know why. It's just it was time. It was a season, right? And then what happened were new amazing opportunities came on. And of course, I love the crew. It's my heart. I mean, I created it with an amazing lady named Deb Flores. But sometimes you got to let go. And sometimes we're hanging on so tight to what we know and how we think it's supposed to be, that we forget that the next best thing is waiting right around the corner, right?
Yeah, it's been an interesting journey for me, for sure. And I was in a way, it's kind of either the universe is going to give you the chance to do it on your own, or it's going to push you into it. And in my case, I was well, you've been trying to do this for 4 years, so maybe that it was that trying mentality of like just not fully owning and embodying it.
And that's it. It's like you have to make a decision, right? You know this. It's in your moments of decision that your destiny is saved. So with trying, there is no try, as Yoda would say. You either do or you don't do, right? And then it gets to this point. It's like, okay, I'm going to make it happen. I'm not going to make it happen. And we make up excuses. We run certain patterns that we've always run of like, well, maybe later. I'm young. I don't need to do that now. I could, I've got time. Or I'll stay here where it's comfortable, but you just never know. I mean, what a gift! Look what you've created so far. I mean, you just went out there. You're like asking people to be on the podcast. It's very impressive. I gotta let you know. I'm like, you've inspired me. To be like, well, I need to go rent this studio and bring in. It's beautiful. It's really, really beautiful. And you just like went. You're like, okay, when are you committing? You're persistent. You've got passion. You know what you want. So I really admire you. It's great.
Thank you. I mean, I have to admit, when I saw you at Life Mastery virtual last year before we met, I was like...
Was it just last year?
Yeah.
Wow.
I remember watching, and you mentioned you lived in Vegas, and I looked at my mom and I go, Mom, she lives in Vegas. Oh. There's a human in Vegas, because I had no idea that anyone that was like personal mindset, all of the above, was around. And I was just like... oh, there's a community here? What? And then, funny enough, when I went to the RPM event, which is where we actually did meet, and then I met Maureen, I was like, we were walking together, and she tells me she lives in Vegas, and I was like...
There's more of us. We're multiplying.
Yes.
Yes, see?
And I was just like, wait, I had to go to Florida to meet people from Vegas? I am very confused.
I met Maureen in Fiji. How about that? She lives a mile away from me, and I had to go to teach an event in Fiji to meet her, and she had met my son 2 years before, and I said to my son, I'm like, you hid her from me for like 2 years, I had to go to Fiji. Another friend of mine, Renee, she lives in my neighborhood, same thing, I met her in Fiji. I'm like, you're in Vegas? And so, yeah, but that's just how life is, right? Like sometimes you have to go away to...
reconnect. Yeah. Because up until then, I was just like, did we make a bad call on moving to Vegas? Like, what? Because LA girl born and raised. So for me, I was just like, I'm not 100% certain. And certainty used to be one of my top human needs. So
I think for many of us, that it is. I mean, you want certainty about some things in your life, but it's a beautiful opportunity to step in. And I love Vegas. What I love about it, I say it's the city of... it's the great equalizer. Nobody cares what you do. If you're a good person and you want to add value here, then that's great. But it doesn't matter like where you live. Someone doesn't go, you live over there? Well, I'm not going to hang out with you. So I've been here I've been here 19 years now.
That's amazing.
It's amazing, right? It's just, and everybody comes here. Your house doesn't become a hotel, right? You go, I'll meet you at the Strip. We'll go and do that. And we can invite them to all these great lunches that you come to with your mom, and you came and we did the manifestation party together. So it's great. I really just respect you a lot.
Thank you. Likewise. I honestly remember as you were speaking at Life Mastery, there was something that spoke, and I remember the first time just pouring and crying and being like, and my mom looked over at me and she goes, I think something about Loren touched you. And I was like, I think I want to be her in 30 years.
Oh, gosh, does that mean... Well, I want you to be your best you, right? I think that's what I learned, too, when I was... How old are you now?
30.
Yeah, so 30 years. 30, so in 30 years. When I think that so many times... That's why finding your true voice is so important. Like, what makes you unique, right? What do you bring to the table that I can't even bring to the table? And you've got... And I had to learn that, too, because for so long I was trying to be someone that I wasn't, right? A lot of us were running around trying to be little whatevers, little Tonys, whatever that you wanted to be. I'm like, I've got a gift, right? Like, why wouldn't I share my gift? And my friends reminded me that at my 59th and 3/4 birthday party, and they reminded me, I'm like, I don't remember that when I was in high school, or college, and they reminded me of some of the things that I do that are very special contributions. Already, it's been a big foundation for me. That's why doing the birthday parties and doing all those things, giving back, is really important for me. I love doing the little things for people. That's when if you were to talk about, what's my love language, not for me, but actually for other people, is I love giving gifts.
Yeah.
I love quality time. So this is exciting because when you said, oh, it's actually at a studio, I was like, oh, that's cool. That'll be good quality time together. That's why those ladies' lunches are so important. That's why doing True Voice in an intimate setting is so important. That's why Own It, everything that I do is based around what I know fills me up and that'll fill so many other people up that we just don't take the time to do. So.
Yeah. It's interesting you brought up the love languages because for me, I've been very proponent of bringing that into my relationships. And my biggest one was quality time. And ironically, my mom's is acts of service. So it's like knowing how to meet each other's needs and at the same time communicating your own needs so that they're met.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because my husband's, his is acts of service as well. So guess the last thing I do when I leave the house to go do anything? What do I say?
What do you need? Yeah.
Exactly. You need anything? Do you need anything while I'm out? And then he's all happy. I get a text back, you're so wonderful, you're so awesome. And I'm like, and so sometimes it's just asking a question. We always say that questions are the answers. And most people don't take the time to ask really great questions, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that's what you're doing right now. You're asking great questions.
Thank you. I've been finding that part of the fun in podcasting is just coming up with different questions.
It is. I mean, that's why you said, when you said, I don't really love getting questions in advance sometimes because I want to make sure that the connection's there with us as well and not just focus so many times on the question, but really focus on our relationship and what people need.
Absolutely. So you've spent 30 years immersed in personal development, guiding and speaking along some of the biggest names. But before all of that, there had to be a moment that made you kind of decide to claim your voice.
Do you really want to hear about this?
Absolutely.
Oh, wow. Well, it's 36 years. I met Tony November 1989, so that was a long time before you were born. You're not even a thought in your parents' head. You were just out there somewhere in the universe. Mine happened when I was little, when I was a little girl. And I'm from a very small, it's a small town in North Carolina. I'm from Asheville, North Carolina. And when I grew up there, it was tough, I got to say. I mean, really tough. And there were parts of Asheville that I'm a little Jewish girl from the South, so no blacks, no Jews, no minorities could go to certain parts of the town. And that was hard, not understanding why I wasn't allowed to go to certain places, like spend the night with people. And I remember saying to myself, I want people to love me for who I am, not what I am. And I think that's why, the inclusion part for me is so important because I've been excluded. I've seen so many people excluded because of who they are and I mean, like what they were, not who they are. And so I had a moment when I was very quiet, so I've made up for lost time very quickly. And I was a little girl, and I saw somebody get beat up in the hallway. Somebody made a comment about them, and I intervened. I haven't grown since I was 12 years old, still 5'2". And I went to the principal's office, and I said, and he said, I should kick you out of school. And I just let it out. I'm like, I'm just tired of seeing kids being bullied, and I'm tired of being this and that. And the principal had no idea of what was even happening at the school. So that's when I was like, that's it. I had a defining moment. We talk about defining moments. And that was probably my defining moment. And I found my voice, and now you can't stop me. But sometimes, I think for all of us, we get a little nervous, so we play small. And, opportunities that we have to go, do I want to put myself on the line for certain things? And, I still have my moments of am I really going to be courageous here? Yes. And one of my code of conducts that I live by is do the right thing, even if it's a hard thing. And that helps me go deeper in remembering my voice and why it's so important.
That's such a beautiful answer. And I think I actually remember reading that in your book.
Yes, I was going to say, if you would know, you read the book.
Well, for those who didn't know.
No, I'm just teasing.
But I remember going back, you said something about playing small. So what does that look like for you right now?
Whew. What a great question. You didn't even have these down, did you? How great is that? Playing small, I think when you're playing small is you're thinking about all the noise that's around you, or you go to that comparison stage. And like, well, I don't have this, or I'm not this, or I'm not ready, or I'm not all of those things. And knowing when there's that pull that's pulling you and you're resisting it. When you feel that pull, just go, right? Like I remember the first time it was during that mandatory pause. I don't like to call it COVID. And, Tony started doing a virtual events. And then our friend Eric Worre, he was going to do an event, but he didn't have a place to do it. So he built a studio. They built the studio in 3 months, like a $22 million studio. They just figured it out.
Wow.
And one of my favorite lines is Eric's line, and it says, say yes, tell the world, figure it out. And I just think that's so powerful. And anytime like I'm contemplating with myself and I'm thinking that I'm playing small, I say yes, tell the world, I'll figure it out. So I watch Tony, because as you know, one of the most important things is modeling, like model success. And too many times people are modeling people that aren't successful, and they wonder why they don't get results in their lives. So I went and I was like, well, why don't I rent this studio? So I rented the studio, really put myself on the line for a lot of money. And I was like, oh my gosh, my husband is going to kill me if he knew what I just did. So I figured it out, right? And I put on an event. We had 25,000 people virtually. I had like 200 people ready in the studio. And guess what happened? Omicron. Remember the couple weeks of Omicron? And people were just dropping like flies. Yeah. It was in January. And I was like, oh my gosh, all these people that were supposed to come live, like speakers that were coming and participants that were coming, the dancers that were going to open the event. Like at first I had 25 dancers, then it was 15, then it was 4. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, I'm going to figure it out. And once again, we ended up having 25,000 people. And then we had and we translated in 6 languages. And we had like 100 people that showed up, but everybody had to do the COVID test. Obviously, but the girl who was my event manager who I hired, she got COVID. So at the last minute, I had to fly somebody down, my friend Michelle, down to do the event because the other girl who knew everything, they wouldn't let her in the studio at all because she had COVID. And so the reason I bring it up about playing small, I put on an event, it was great, but I put it on for a company. I didn't ask the company for money. I put the money up. But I said, well, if I'm doing it for them, why wouldn't I do it for what I love to do and what my mission is? And that's when I decided, you know what, I'm going to put on my own event here. I'm going to do it at the studio. And I figured it out. So I think playing small for us is when we start putting the roadblocks in the way. Nobody else does. We put them up. We start coming up with the excuses. We start coming up with why us, right? Look at some of those people that are out there that make things happen. They don't listen to all the noise. And I love what Gary Vee says. He says, I don't hear the positive, I don't hear the negative, I just keep moving forward. So I think turning off even sometimes the good. Sometimes you just, because that can cause your ego to build. And not that it's a horrible thing all the time, but yeah, sometimes you got to just go back. I personally just hired a new person I got to go back and I got to make sure I'm leveling up my game. So I'm working with somebody to just take my speaking, my message to the next level. And I think that's the other thing too. You never arrive.
I love that. I really love that. And honestly, firstly, I need to come to next year's event. So we're putting that out there on
Yes.
But for me, I think the perspective of just starting without having all the foundation or trying to think of like the many variations of it is so important, because I think for me the longest time that was exactly what was stopping me. I was trying to do like a full map of like reverse engineer. How do I get? It's just like
you got to start. This Simon Sinek's. You got to start with why. Like, why is it important for me? Yeah. Like, what woman can I help? Right? Yeah. Like, I was like, why am I going to write another? Why am I going to write another book? It's like I just wanted to get it out there. Do I need? Did I need it for any other reason? No, I just needed to get it off my heart, and I realized some strategies that have helped me. And it always comes back to my true north, my compass. Because no matter what, every problem I've seen, every intervention I've done everything that I've seen over these past 36 years, whether it's as a crew director, whether it's facilitating an event, whether it's teaching an event, it always comes back to 4 things. And the first is the inquiry, or, who am I? Like, who am I? Like, who am I? What do I bring to the world? So that inquiry, that identity, a lot of people call it identity, right? And then the other is our rituals. What are the rituals that we do? And then the other are our boundaries, and then the tribe, who you surround yourself with. So it always comes back to, if you were to give me any challenge, I can tell you it'll come back to one of those 4 things, always.
Accurate. I don't even have anything else to say. Accurate, just in my own experience. Because, again, this whole journey for me, even starting the podcast, I had someone who texted me yesterday, and she was like, "It's so cool. How are you getting all these people?" And I'm like, I just ask.
Yeah, there you go.
And she was like, "But aren't you afraid they'll say no?" And I'm like, no one's died from a no before.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting because we make our blocks our own stopping point.
Yeah.
They don't have to be.
No, but we do, right? Like, we do. And then we don't. But as you know, it's lots of times it's just leverage on ourselves, too, to do it. My cards that you have here. Let's pull another card. Let's see your card.
I am love.
Yes, you are. That's why everybody say yes, because they know that you are loved. But I created these cards 12 years ago because every time I would do a presentation, I was at a speaking event called The Power of Women. It was in Canada, and I was Barbara Walters, Erin Brockovich, Jean Chatzky, and little old me, right? And back then I did that. Well, that event was, trying to remember because I base everything off my age of my kids. So this was right before I had Asher. So it had been 19 years ago. And I did this presentation, and I said my I am statements. I'm loving, I'm honest, I'm passionate, I'm compassionate, I'm kick-ass, I'm full of faith, I'm God's girl, I'm too married, tight, I'm a sexy salsa dancer, I'm a great coach, I'm an awesome mom, I'm hilarious, right? And so this lady had sent me an email probably about 14 years ago, maybe 13 years ago, saying how she heard me at an event and that those I am statements, and because I was pretty emphatic talking about the I am statements, and she goes, how it made a huge difference in how it got her through breast cancer. And I was like, shame on me. I go, I need to create some cards. And I had like a real designer, like I paid a lot of money to have them designed. I really thought about what specific I am statements to do is 52 different ones. And or 54. And then I went and I created them, but it's all because I had a really big why, because she awakened something in me to be like, why wouldn't I do this? So I think that that's really the first step. The how, you went to RPM, you know that, right? It's the most powerful part. What's the result and why do I want it? Yeah. And as we say in the South, if your why don't make you cry, it's not your why. So that's what drives me.
Beautiful. I'm going to actually hit you with a deep question then.
Deep. He was saying everybody else was so funny. I want to be funny. I'm not funny. Go ahead.
You are hilarious.
I'm hilarious. I said it.
You have depth.
I have depth. There you go. I have depth.
So what is your why at this current stage?
My why at this current stage, I always say that I want to be the hero that my kids seek in the world. I want them to look at me and go, that's my mom, right? So my why right now, it was interesting. This morning even, I was driving. My husband had to drop off one of our cars to get fixed. Excuse me. And I was driving back, and this lady I saw her driving, and her 3 little kids were in the back seat. And looked like she spent a lot of time taking care of them, getting them ready for school. And I saw this part of her, but she looked empty. She looked like, man, I wish I had somebody to hang out with and laugh with. And I think that as women, sometimes we feel like we have to do it alone. And instead of like really creating community. And for me, my why right now is to create something so badass for women to know that they've found home. they've really found home, no matter where they're at on their journey. So that's my why.
That's actually such a beautiful answer. And ironically, it kind of goes with one of the answers Juliana gave last night.
Yeah?
Yeah, because I always end off the podcast with, what do you want women to stop apologizing for? And she was essentially saying, taking time for yourself and then having that friendships that pour into you.
Yeah.
And so
I'm pretty good about taking care of me, because I always use the example of, where's the first place that the heart delivers blood to? And I always say that itself, because you can't give what you don't have, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that we've done women a big disservice by saying that it's not. I think that it's kind of dying a little bit. I hope it's dying a little bit, of that it's not okay to take care of yourself. I love that, that self-care is a beautiful thing now, but I mean, it should always start off that way. But my kids will tell you, I make it a priority. Like, even if it's 5 minutes a day, I say, I have something that I've done for, 25 years. I call it my take 5. Take 5. Take 5 minutes for your spirit. Take 5 minutes for your health. Take 5 minutes for your relationship. Take, 5 minutes for your finance. Take 5 minutes for your spiritual awakening. And by the end of the day, you've taken 25 minutes for yourself. So set alarms on your phone. Do something. And it's not, here's the thing that people hate that I say, but it's the truth. Mm-hmm. We do our priorities.
We do.
We do our priorities. So if it's important to you, you'll do it, right? If it's kind of important, you'll wishy-washy about it. But we do our priorities. And for me, contribution is a priority for me every day, right? Contribution is, my health is important for me every single day. My relationships, my kids, now that I'm an empty nester, I was like, I really miss you guys. I go, we need to do FaceTimes. And so 5 minutes later, it was the coolest thing. It was just, all of them got on and we did a FaceTime. I'm like, okay, I'm happy now. We need to do this twice a day. Let's schedule it, right? And you'll schedule your priorities, right? Just like you scheduled doing this podcast, or you scheduled one yesterday, or did other things. So that's a priority for you right now. It's either out of inspiration or it's out of desperation. So we all do everything because of out of inspiration or desperation. And so you got to look at your priorities. And if it's important, I call my mom. Somebody said to me, why do you call your mom every day? And you know what we said? Because my brother and I both said, because we can. My dad, I can't call him, right? I can connect with him, but I can't call him every day and say, hey, how you doing? So my kids see that as a priority. They see, everybody knows when I'm in the bath time, that's me time. That's time for me to fill back up, literally. And so, yeah, we do our priorities. And I just want to be the example of what's possible. I don't want to, that's why years ago, I also, 25 years ago or so, I had a lady come and clean out my closets, and she cleaned out my closets. And then I went to New York to go see her. I go, well, I want to see your closet. She goes, no, you can't see my closet. It's a disaster. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like what? So I want people to come and see my life. I want them to see the craziness that goes on, and to let them know I'm real, and that it's just not, it's not smoke and mirrors. So I think that you got to make sure you really live your truth as well. So
yeah, I recently did a kind of test on a few of my friends. Not really a test, but I reached out to a few people that I was very close with, and I go, out of curiosity, this is not for the need of validation, but what comes to mind when you think about me? Mm-hmm. And I was like, be as blunt as possible. It can be nice. It can be not nice. I just want the real. And what I found interesting is I did it to about 7 different girls from different circles, and they all had consistent answers. Yep. And I was like, oh, I am showing up in the world the correct way, because at least you like me or hate me, you're getting all of me. And so I've started to realize how much of women specifically sometimes tend to be chameleons. So when they're in one environment, they're one person, and then they're in another environment, they put on the mask of another person. And for me, as I'm trying to step into a more authentic version of myself and being that guide as well, it's important to make sure that I'm authentic in all areas.
Yeah, and not everybody's going to love you. Not everybody loves me. And I know it, I remember being at an event that there were about 500 people in the room, and I would walk in the room versus coming, on the stage, and it was a long event, and this guy was, in the room, and I went up to him, I said, "Good morning," and he goes, "Well, I hate you." And I'm like,
Well,
okay,
nice.
every day would say that, and I would come in, and I would always go say hi to him, and I'm like, obviously, the fourth day, I'm like, obviously, I remind you of someone you don't like, and he goes, "My ex-wife." Right?
Oh.
But I was like, I didn't take it personally. I go back to the 4 agreements, and I was like, okay, so I triggered something in him. But at the end, he ended up giving me a hug, and I go, look, I'm not her. I don't know the situation, but I just want you to know this whole week, I've been, I dedicate this event to you because I know that it must be hard to stay in the room and be in the room if you see me as someone that remind you of something you don't like, and that hopefully I've changed that for you or given it a new perspective. So I think that you got to be, as a leader, you're not always going to be liked.
Yeah.
But like I said, if you focus on doing the right thing, then then that's all you can do. But not everybody loves me, and I know that. And that's okay. They're not my peeps either. If they don't like me, they don't realize I'm a freaking catch. Right?
You're amazing.
I'm a damn good friend. I work hard. I speak. I'm a good person. I know who I am. And what's most important is that I stay authentic for nobody else other than me, right? That I know that I'm showing up in my truth. And so for you too, right? I try to say that to my kids all the time. And yeah, that's the best we can do.
Beautiful. And actually, you just gave me a point that I've really realized in the recent weeks is triggers are teachers.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime we think that there's a trigger that is an external circumstance that's actually giving us the reaction, I dare people to look at the reaction because it's not the actual thing outside of us.
Of course it's not. Yeah, of course it's not. No, it's just there's a reason why it triggers them, right? So that's but that's the beauty. That's either you get to grow from it, or remember that. Do you ever see the movie Horton Hears a Who?
I have not.
And in the movie, there's a mama kangaroo, and her little kangaroo's talking, and she goes, "Mommy, mommy, mommy, Horton hears noises down there." And the mother goes, "Oh, that's ridiculous. If you can't see, hear, feel, or touch it, it's not real," which is definitely not the truth. That's only 1%, right? Mm-hmm. We know that. It's the 99% that brings people together. These, oh my gosh, I was just thinking about you. And lots of us, we don't tap into that. Because when you think of a mountain and a part pulls away from a mountain, what do we call it? Call it a boulder, we call it a landslide, but the truth is it's still part of the mountain. And the reason people feel this, they've just disconnected. And then if they come back to their authenticity, a tree doesn't go, "Oh, gosh, that tree over there doesn't like me. I'm not going to grow because that tree doesn't like me," right?
Yeah.
And the trees talk to each other, and the tree just grows. The flower just blooms. It doesn't say, "Oh, I'm not worthy of not growing." Nature doesn't say that. Nature's full abundance. There's abundance everywhere. We stop ourselves. We get in the way.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, I am just so grateful for this conversation because I think so many women, especially right now, are needing to just come home to themselves. Mm-hmm. Or at least that's what I've been observing in the conversations I've had. I was just on a mastermind call right before we started, and I remember how many of us that we were speaking, there was a different variation of well, I don't really know what I'm doing, but hi, we're doing this. I'm just figuring it out along the way. And there was a common denominator that I found where it was whether it was said or not, you could tell we had a common theme around worthiness. And it's sometimes I wonder where that stems from. And every person has a different variation of what the root of their wound. I don't like calling it that, but.
No, a wound's a good thing. But I think it also sometimes becomes a story for people, and it's a cop-out. I think lots of times it's a cop-out. I think that just saying, am I worthy or not, is kind of a cop-out. It's my kids, they know that if they were ever to say that to me, I'd be like, seriously, did you really just say that, to me? Right? Yeah. So that's why I changed the name. I bought into the whole thing is like, I called it Own Your Worth the first year. I'm like, what? Just freaking own it, right? Like, what am I saying? Own your worth. Just own it. There's no, like I said, like the trees don't go, am I worthy of growing or not?
Yeah.
They don't ask that. And I think a lot we've been conditioned from social media, like you're conditioned, posts that people see, or they're like, yeah, am I worthy of this? Am I not worthy of this? Of course you're worthy of whatever you want. I remember when I was your age, maybe a little bit younger, I was a lot younger than you. I was like 24, and we were in Phoenix. It was for a financial destiny program that Tony was doing. It was before Wealth Mastery, and he's like, this information is boring. We need something fun. And he goes, we need a wheel. And he goes, Loren, go find this, and this, and this. And I'm like, okay. And I go, how long do I have? And they're like, 4 hours. And I figured it out, right? I went to this jewelry store. I just opened the Best of Phoenix magazine, and I'm like, hi, this is Loren, and we need jewelry for this wheel. And they're like, come on in. And the owner of the store, his name is Al Molina, I was wearing jeans and a T-shirt, and he goes, come in, I want to give you an experience. And he told me all about jewelry and the history of jewelry, and he was from Cuba and how they came over here with just, flip-flops on, and him as his family, and there were 12 generations of jewelers, and he had me try on these crazy pieces of jewelry. And he said to me, I never want you to forget this moment. He goes, because you should never, and they were like $1 million necklaces and bracelets and rings. And I was like, did I make up that story? Is that story really true? And then I remember him saying to me, you should never have to want. You should never be like questioning your worth. If you want it, if you really want to make something happen, you will figure it out. Right? And then years later, I go back, and every time I go to Phoenix, I take the ladies to his store because it made such a profound difference in my life. And that's what he does. He lets everybody try on this, $4 million necklace, and takes a picture of every woman with every woman gets an 8x10 of them wearing this, this necklace. And they're a whole different person. It's like really owning that. And why not you? Why not us? Who makes somebody else worthy of something versus someone else? What makes somebody worthy? Let me ask you that question. What makes somebody worthy?
I think they just are.
What makes somebody worthy, Josh? What makes somebody worthy?
Just be.
Just claiming it, right? Just claiming it. It's not. There's no hierarchy of whether or not one person's worthy of something or someone's not, right? Yeah. I bet no one's asked that question before. What makes somebody worthy? Seriously, what makes somebody worthy? And what makes somebody worthy, and what makes another person not worthy? What makes somebody unworthy?
I'm gonna dare to say it's just what they think that their limitations are.
Yeah, it comes down to that. I have a bracelet for you. You probably saw it online. You're going to be the second person to get it. And I have the person I'm working with now, my vocal awareness coach. He's worked in this for 40 years. And I have my journal that says effing brilliant. You know the word, effing brilliant. And so I go, let me get my journal. I start writing out, and I have my cards out. And he goes, change that. And I'm like, change that to what? He goes, write this down. And I go, write what down? And he goes, write down, I am effing brilliant. Right?
The power of I am.
The power of I am. And every day I wake up and I say, I am effing brilliant. Right? So I wake up and I'm like, oh, that's great. I should have a bracelet that says that to remind everybody. So here, Josh, you need one too. Here.
Thank you.
So here you go. It's a bracelet that says, I am effing. You want a bracelet that says, I am effing brilliant? Will you actually wear it? Yeah, this is Josh, the camera guy. Come on. Can you or will you? Will you?
Yeah.
You will. Okay.
Thank you.
Because I want everybody every day to remember that they are effing brilliant, right? And that's what it is. Then you claim that. You claim that you are worthy. So.
Love this. So what have you learned through your own journey about what it really takes for a woman to start speaking her truth when the world asks her to play small?
Oh, my gosh. That's a great question. Did you write that, or did ChatGPT write that? Because that's a dang good question. Who wrote it, honestly? Who wrote it? Tell me.
It was a combo.
It was a combo. Okay. So what was the question again? So I just hear it fully.
It was, what have you learned through your own journey about what it really takes for a woman to speak her truth in a world that often asks her to stay small?
So I think it was me taking the risks. And then when people started seeing me take risks, they were like, oh my gosh, like she took a big risk there. Like, shoot, maybe I should like take a bigger risk. I think it was me leading from the front. And I think that I know that it's inspired a lot of other people to step up. I hope that it has. I mean, I didn't have big companies behind me, like, giving me tons of money and doing. I mean, this is all little old me on our own. And I think that it's hard, but it's worth it. And I think once one woman does it, then another one steps up, and another one steps up and goes, we can do it. And the power of community, right? Like I look at my ladies in their pods, like you have your mastermind that you're a part of, and mine, that the ladies, like all of them, there's like 6 of them right now getting NLP certified in San Diego, and then there's another group that's going to meet up for Labor Day, and then there's another group that's starting business together. And so I think what it does is it really does create that ripple. And when people say that you authentically really want them to win, you don't just hold on tight to everything. You're like, of course I want everybody to win. So I think that's it.
Beautiful. And it makes me think about how it ties back to what you've been saying about community this entire time. Because it's like when you're surrounding yourself by people who are doing better or bigger things, it stretches you just enough to make you believe that it's possible for you to do bigger and better things.
Absolutely, and sometimes it might not even be somebody that's doing better than you. It might be just somebody that's there as a cheerleader to cheer you on and let you know that you can do it, right? Or it might be someone who has an experience that you need to hear, or a story that you need to hear, or it might just be that strangers actually just care. Right? Or that total, like my favorite thing is seeing the relationships that are created after just a couple, just this past weekend. These ladies came together as total strangers. And now, like in the chat, it's like blowing up, and they're like best of friends, and they're planning another trip. So it can be less than, it can be just a couple minutes. Or even when I did my little party, like very, very different backgrounds of people, right? And it was awesome to see everybody just come together and to see everybody love on each other, just because that's what we're supposed to do. I mean, we are a community. That's what we're supposed to be. We're not supposed to be by ourselves. We're supposed to collaborate together. We're supposed to be interdependent, right? Mm-hmm. Like you should, not just independent, that you should count on me, and I should count on you, and that we cheer each other on. That's how it's supposed to be.
Absolutely. Beautiful answers. I'm just going to say you're one of my favorite people I've interviewed so far.
Oh, you're so sweet. Josh, I'm not funny, but how are we doing over here? We're doing all right? We're doing great? Okay, good.
I mean, I don't think we've had that much of a funny podcast that we've done so far.
Well, I'll tell you something interesting. I was asked to do a program. Tony was doing a UPW, and Joseph wasn't able to go to do the Living Health Day. And here I'd been teaching life mastery for years in Fiji, and he calls me and he goes, I need you to teach the program. I watched videos of him, and guess where I went to? The comparison stage. And I was like, I can't do that. I'm not as funny as you. He goes, yeah, but you're real. And I'm like, real. I know how to do that. And just bringing your own flavor is very, very important, to the mix. Yeah. And some people it might resonate with. That's why there's 31 flavors, right? That's why because you might like Rocky Road and I might like Rainbow Sherbet. But I think that's what's beautiful about the expansion of podcasts, the beautiful things that are on YouTube. I mean, there could be a grandma in Wisconsin that has 1 million people following her of how to can, right? Like, you don't know. I mean, there's so much. I mean, it's such a gift. We are so lucky to live in this time where we have opportunities to experience so much.
Yeah. It's definitely a blessing. I always joke with my grandpa because he likes to call me directionally challenged. And I'm like, you have to understand, I grew up in the era where phones already had maps, whereas you were pulling your little books of...
Yeah, his atlas and his, and maps, actual maps.
Actual maps. And I'm like, so forgive me for not knowing east, west, whatever. I just know that if I plug it in, it'll tell me if I'm going the wrong way.
Right. And like we said, you're a digital you're digital pioneers and we're the digital immigrants, right? So it's just your nature that's just what you do, right? You tap things and we try to flip the pages, right? So do all of those things. You're great. Yeah.
I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah.
Well, but you were talking about your grandfather saying that you were directionally challenged. Well, a lot of people say to me, "Oh my God, Loren, you've got so many things going on. I just can't." And I'm like, "And?" And they go, "Well, you need to just do one thing." I go, "Says who?" Right? Why? Why do I need to just do one thing? I love doing this. I love this. I'm a variety freak. I'm like, so a lot of people, you have to be careful because they're going to try to put their way
Labels.
of doing their labels of how it's supposed to be done. I did that. I've done that. I've listened to noise sometimes when I really should have just listened to what was pulling me. Many times. Many times. But you go, oh, they have more experience with this. And I'm like, okay. That's important to some extent. But if something that you can go, let me see about that. But for me, it works, I like creating products. I like doing events. I like, contracting with this. I like doing that. I like that. But I say all roads lead me back to the same place. It's not like and I have a question that I ask myself, and that is, if I say yes to this, am I staying true? So before, I get lots of people, that ask me to be on a podcast, but I really like you. You've been supportive. You come to the lunches. You are active. You support my friends. And so I say to myself, if I take 2 hours out of my day with her, my husband's just back from being gone from a trip, and my dog's got in a fight, and the whole thing, I could have canceled. And I'm like, but I really like her, and I'm staying true to myself if I say yes to this. So that's my kind of barometer for myself when I decide if I'm going to do something or not.
Beautiful. Actually, you brought me exactly to where I was going to ask you about, because you wear so many hats. So what would you say is the key for you to figure out what's next in what you're bringing on?
Like I said, I ask myself the question, if I say yes to this, am I staying true to myself? I have lots of different opportunities that come along, and I see if the values of the person I work with, it's really important. If I really like them and what they stand for in the world, then I'm just going to say, okay, that sounds good. But I also am realistic about where am I really willing to put my time, because that's been a lot of things. I mean, if I were to look back and, I remember my mom, it was a really hard thing. It was probably one of the hardest things I saw that happened with my mom. My mom got sick about 5 years ago, and my mother was a antique dealer, but she was always going to like yard sales and antique shows and this and that. And I remember her grabbing a big black bag and just throwing all these very expensive things like in this bag and throwing it out. She goes, had I spent less money on these things and created more experiences for you all, and my heart was like, oh, I just like heard the pain in my mom's voice. And I think we have to just think like, where are we really putting our time? And how precious time is, and the people that you surround yourself with, and just don't sell out, especially if you don't want to be around them. You don't have to be with everyone. I like me. Like, I don't need to be with a lot of people. I love community, but I like myself too, and I like spending time with myself. And then I'll go out with my friends, or I'll put on an event, or I'll do something during the weekend. So I think just really value your time.
I love that. And actually, it reminds me of an exercise you were telling us about during the manifestation board party, which was how you walk yourself through how it makes you feel.
Always.
And
Always.
If you want to elaborate on that, I would love it.
Well, I mean, I think that first is, how do I really want to show up in the world? Like, how do I want to be seen in the world? And so that's my compass, right? And then I start thinking of, okay, how do I want to feel in my health? How do I want to feel from this conversation whenever I do a talk? What's the feeling I want people to leave with? Do I want them to feel inspired? Do I want them to feel charged up? How do I want them to feel where they're actually going to take action? As I like to call it, Goya, you got to get off your ass and go do something. And a lot of people, they get stuck in, oh, I feel so good, I feel so this and that, but then they don't ever do anything, right? It's like, my friend uses an example, it's kind of like peeing in a wetsuit. It feels good in the moment, but then after a while it wears off and it doesn't feel so good. So you gotta get up and go do something. So I'm so proud of you for doing this, not just talking about doing a podcast, but renting, doing all the things that it takes. It's a commitment. So you should be really, really proud of yourself for doing the actions. And I'm hoping that it makes you feel really great. Like you said, this was on your manifestation board to do this together. I saw that on your board, a picture of us. So I'm pretty aware of looking around, but you got a lot. You're just getting started, and I'm really excited for you.
Thank you. You're honestly so incredible. I'm not even kidding when I say you're one of the people that have most inspired this journey for me, because I look at you and I see potential, and it's amazing to me to see how you've walked the path. And it's very easy, because I think having been under Tony's umbrella, a lot of people probably still lump you together. And for me, when I see how you're still your individual self, separate from him as an entity even, and it's like, yes, he's inspired, and I'm sure he's taught you a lot during the time you've worked with him, but just watching how you yourself have your own flavor.
I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that. That means a lot to me. I couldn't ask for any better gift, because you're right. I was just, it's sometimes when it feels so good, like when you're doing something with someone and make a change, but then you go, well, why couldn't I do that? I bring my own flavor to that too. It's like I'm very, very grateful every day, So every day I wake up and when I think about the top 5 people that I'm grateful for, it's Tony. And because he's amazing. And like you said, I still have things that I'm passionate about, and it doesn't mean, so that's when I told you, when I said no to stop doing the crew, mm-hmm. I finally said yes to me. Yeah. And I still did events for Life and Wealth Mastery, which I love to do. I'm leaving next week, in 2 weeks to go teach a program. Mm-hmm. But I choose the events that, they say, which ones can you do? I tell them which ones I can do. They ask me to do an event next year. I go, I can't do it. It felt so good. Sometimes it feels good to say no, right? Yeah. So they go, we really need you for the March event. I go, I can't do the March event because that's my event that weekend. They're you can't change. I'm like, no, I can't change it, right? So that feels really good. But I can do these. So if you want me for this, I'm available for that. And I think that's when I really stepped into my power. When I said, no, I can't do that, but I can do this. And if not, that's okay too. I'll figure it out, right? So thank you. That's the highest compliment you could pay me, seriously.
See, that's also a step of owning your voice.
Yes, for sure.
So what's one thing you want every woman listening to remember about her own worth and voice?
That your story needs to be told. The world needs to hear it. Don't hide it. What does Wayne Dyer says? He said, don't let your music die within you. Yeah. That's a mic drop right there. That's what I would say. So don't let your music die within you. Let your story. You never know who your story can inspire. You never know, how it can help heal you too. I think a lot of people, my coin that I say is that a lot of people are emotionally constipated. They hold on and they hold on and they hold on and they never release. And you never know what that release can do for you, for your relationships, for your business, for your legacy in the world. So let your voice be heard. It's worthy. It's not. Just do it. Just do it.
Love this. And final question before we do my favorite part, which is the quick fire round.
Are we going to dance? It's just the Ellen DeGeneres show, and we're going to dance party. Yes.
I wish. So what does it mean in this season for you to rise to your next level?
What does this mean this next season? What it means is for me to create a revolution. I'm freaking committed to creating a revolution people haven't even ever seen before. Of women really locking arms and truly supporting each other, not just saying that they're going to do that. That's what it means. I'm going to have to get bolder. I need a sponsor, big sponsor. Who would like to be our sponsor to do this? And just what more women just saying, hey, I want to be a part of it. And you come be a part with us and hang out with us.
Absolutely. Okay, quick fire round.
Oh, fire round.
What's a book outside of yours that changed your life?
The Alchemist.
Beautiful. A word that describes your current season.
Word that describes my current season. Exciting. Liberating. How about that? Liberating.
I love that. Morning or night owl?
Morning.
Sorry. What is a daily non-negotiable you can't live without?
A daily non-negotiable I can't live without. I would do my I am statements and looking at my manifestation boards.
I should have been able to see that one coming. A song that always lifts your mood.
A song that always lifts my. What's it called? Good as hell.
Love it. And finally, what's one thing you want women to stop apologizing for?
Being themselves. Stay true. You knew that.
I knew that. Well, Loren, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast. I am so honored for this conversation, and it truly means the world to me to have been able to collaborate with you in this way. I want to acknowledge you're such a huge light and such a bright star, and I'm so grateful to know you.
Well, I adore you, and tell your mama thank you for bringing you into this world, because she's a great lady too, and you're a beautiful duo, and I love how much you love her. It means a lot as a mama to see the beautiful relationship that you have with your mom. So that's very inspiring as well.
Thank you.
And you're going to rock this. Let's do this.
So if you enjoyed today's episode, please like and subscribe. And please let us know on Instagram or Facebook, wherever you would like to find us, how it is that this conversation served you. Until next time, that is all for now.
Great job.